currently on our way to the abandoned village of Imber. It's a medieval village that was inhabited since the 10th century, and it was commandeered by the army during the Second World War, and yeah, so now it's abandoned. It was only meant to be for a short time, a precautionary measure. Until the end of the war, they said, but indeed, the ghost village of Imber has been abandoned for much more than a mere decade. Evacuated during the Second World War, Imber is one UK ghost town you've likely never heard of, but probably should have done. We've just arrived in Imber, and behind me is what was once the village pub. We are just walking through the village now, and we are making our way to the medieval church. The church is the only bit of the village that has not been completely destroyed by mortar and artillery fire. Located in the very heart of the lost village, the 13th century Church of St Giles is the only building still fully standing of the once thriving community. Open to the public on just a few occasions each year, this beautiful building was constructed in the late 1200s. Within the church, the remains of medieval pictures can still be spied on the walls today, while the graveyard is well maintained by volunteers whenever they are able to visit the village, i.e. just a few times each year. Although access to the church is controlled by the MOD, the building remains under the jurisdiction of the Diocese of Salisbury. While the church fell into great disrepair during the 20th century, renovation projects in the past few years have meant that the 6 original bells, removed during the 1950s, were actually replaced in 2010. Many parts of the roof were also replaced. During my time at Imber, I was informed that at one point the church was even hit by a stray shell. Today, St Giles Church is managed by the Church's Conservation Trust, a charitable organisation who care for those ecclesiastical buildings which the world might already have forgotten. Other churches in their care include the Church of St Peter the Poor Fisherman and St Martin's Church in Exeter. In a somewhat final slap in the face to the deposed villagers, the nearby army village of Warminster's Garrison Church, i.e. the Army's own church, was actually dedicated as a St Giles place of worship in 1968 for the lost village of Imber. Indeed, the Garrison Church's foundation stone was actually taken from the St Giles Church of Imber. We have just visited the church, and now we're going to see one of the last buildings that's actually still standing in the village, known as Imber Court, which was the big manor house. The rest of the houses in the village were pretty much demolished by the military, and the ones standing here now have been constructed for military training exercises. So behind me now is the Bell Inn, and it was a inn for the village between 1840 and 1943. Today it's one of two pubs still standing in the village, and one of the only historic houses left, as the vicarage was destroyed, as was the Baptist church, and basically all of the living houses. So behind me now is all that remains of the Baptist church. It was built in 1839 and demolished in 1977. There were originally over 100 graves here, and now only around 10 gravestones still survive today. We have just been in the Baptist graveyard. It's quite shocking how few gravestones are still there today, and the ones that are still there are all pretty much rubble. I can't imagine what it must have been like when the residents were forced to leave the village, ripped away from their homes, away from their community, and all of the families were split up from one another. So one family would be sent to one village, and then another family would be sent to 1 miles away from their friends, family, community. Today, the public, former residents, and family members are seldom allowed to return to Imber, often for just a few weeks each year. In 2017, the Church of St Giles at Imber was open to the public for just 4 days.